A few quick things on science, biology, and chemistry, and in general is the way that they create a product for any purpose that comes from something. They have to study it, and one way when it comes to medicines or drugs is ultimately, because specifically those are going to be used on humans. They need to figure out how this is going to work, and so all the science in different fields of science, technology that goes with botany and combined chemistry is all used together to try and define a rational reasoning, why something is going to work, and what might work in one field will not work in the other. And when it comes to foods or medicines or drugs, a lot of times ultimately we're going to have to test this on a life form. A life form is legally regulated, so there's different rules and laws based on which life form you use. So typically throughout time, governments will just use lower class ethnic groups, or so to speak, the spoils of war. So if you conquer, another group, then you can use them. And so throughout history, typically we would just experiment on lower class peoples, i.e., say, unwed mother, for instance, on welfare is a good example. They'll have to go to the hospital, and they'll get specific treatments that your normal average tax-paying, well financially secure person would never have to take. And anyway, that's a tangent, but the point is that they have to experiment on usually animals first off, with makeup and different, like I said, things that are going to be used ultimately on humans, and they classify ultimately humans as a subgroup as better than animals. Therefore, so it starts, plants, you say animals, humans, etc. And just to rewind quite a bit, before I ate some of this, and that's called bioassay, and I just wanted to clarify that before too many more minutes. Who knows? Things can happen quickly. I should do a few videos on this. We'll see how many minutes I got here, but I just wanted to say that really quick. If this is the, for whatever reason, somebody else needs to see this video as a part of evidence. Munchy munchy, yep, I like to bioassay, and I'm a psychonaut, which maybe I'll put that in Wikipedia for the uneducated. But anyway, this really wasn't about me. Well, actually, I guess it was. I just wanted to let people know what happened, in case, and so on. And that's my understanding. But now I got to explain what that means. And that's back to where I'm talking about why the concept of bioassay exists. In a medical scientific world, we use, fast forward, after we've already tested and figured out that something is a productive, useful product, whatever it might be, we then start using it on animals to see how it affects them. If it still seems positive and whatnot, then we'll start using it on the humans. Ultimately, a researcher or a scientist or a chemist, rarely, like I said, there's so many, and there's excuse me, no disrespect to all the rest of you that are involved in this process. I don't know your names properly. 420, 1, 2, 3, Jerry died, 419, bicycle ride. It's got to be tested, and somebody somewhere has got to take that test. And when you take that test, you have no idea. No care what kind of math I can say 1 + 1 adds up to, you're the first one. And drugs get made and passed by the FDA. It's a Food and Drug Administration here in America, with zero research involved. I, as a researcher or a manufacturer, if I went into making drugs and pills or medicine or whatever you want to call it for people, say Eli Lilly, for instance, okay, is a drug making manufacturer company, and they would take, say, that mushroom right there, and they might extract something and say, hey, this is good for your eyeballs. Okay, well, I mean, ultimately, they had to spend so much time in the field to figure out what type of mushroom that was. And then they have to spend so much time, isolating the what's called alkaloid and or properties in that mushroom that make it useful. And then they have to figure out how to extract that from the toxicity parts of the plant, whatever it might be. We're just looking at the mushroom right now. There's just so many different factors involved that it takes many different people. A scientist is not a taxonomist, and or vice versa, and or a chemist, and or a doctor. A doctor's going to know, and be like, well, yeah, okay, all the rest of you might be right, and this is great, but you can't actually eat this because it'll cause this other thing that those people aren't aware of. Another side note, this really isn't about mushrooms. The toxicities of mushrooms are unknown. There are over 10,000 variants. Paul Stamets, world-leading mycologist, by the way, 17 million try to pay him from Exxon to, buy the patent for his oil-eating microbial mycelium patents. Google it. Anyway, he's the man. Jesus reincarnated, reforest the world, no problem. It's all good. Eat nuclear waste. Mushrooms are a fruit of mycelium. So when you eat this, that's called bioassay. Anytime they test something on a human, it's called bioassay. And ultimately, anyway, back to poisons. Mushrooms specifically, over 10,000. No matter what you think this is right now, whatever you think you're looking at, when you hear, you bruise the stem, or you look at this, or you can see there's gills. Okay, well, you see now there's not a little thing right here that's covering up those gills, and that's called something totally different, and so on and whatnot, and blah 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 blah. That's all bullshit. Okay. I am telling you that you could bring out the world's leading professional mycologist, Paul Stamets himself. You could bring out any scientist, any doctor, any lawyer, any DA, any FDA, any professional person in the botany world, and it doesn't matter. All of those people don't know a goddamn fucking thing, because you know what? If they haven't bioassayed what I'm holding in my hand, if they haven't taken a bite, if they haven't eaten the flesh, then you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? And if you haven't been called specifically by a plant and told this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen to you, your body has a natural communication with all life forms, like a drop of water. We're all the same. And this might be overwhelming here, but we're all the same. All life is the same. Okay? We're not even a grain of sand. We're all the same. And we're all part of each other, and one hand needs to scrape the dirt off the other, and or whatever. So this is a piece of something of us that needs to be occasionally taken to fix some other part of us. No big deal, not overwhelming, but it might take 1,000,000 years to figure out what the heck I'm holding right now, because I got 10,000 different mushroom pictures and it's not in there, and it doesn't say anything about it growing in my medium. Now, by the way, last 20-30 seconds, mushroom poisoning is hardcore fucking shit. Don't ever pick a mushroom and eat it unless you are getting it from a professional mycologist or from the store and it's a proven strain. Mushroom poisoning, even a small amount, can be no problem for up to 8 or 10 hours. You might notice nothing and then have literally a full body meltdown and die. And your liver and everything will physically melt. And mushrooms are one of the highest toxins in the planet, and you could drink pure motor oil and never be as sick as taking that much of a mushroom. So just know that stupid is as stupid does. Do not eat mushrooms unless you know better. Peace.